Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome back. Nice to have you all back from your different site visits this morning. For those of you who have been visiting Greater Paris, I hope you enjoyed yourself and didn't get sunstroke. And for those of you who are here at La Cité Fertile, I'm also looking forward to seeing how you're putting your hackathon plans into practice after this morning's session. So my name's Nuala, still, I'm the same from yesterday, and I'll be moderating this first panel discussion of this afternoon, and also directing you on to this afternoon's activities. So we're here this afternoon to lift the lid on URBACT 4 and find out more details what the bigger picture is in terms of European support for cities and where URBACT fits into that context. So we'll start first with a panel discussion with our eminent panelists here. And we will follow up with a detailed presentation of URBACT 4 with my colleagues Christian and Stephanie. So this is the presentation that you want to hang around for. We'll let you loose after that into the different sessions and activities that we have for this afternoon. You can find out more practically how to be a project partner, how to be a lead partner if you're ready to go and start your URBACT journey or continue your URBACT journey. There's also plenty of opportunities for networking, for unstructured networking as we've been doing, thematic networking, and we are also organizing some speed dating this afternoon, so you'll have the opportunity to really pitch your project ideas and get to know a lot more people. So first then to our panel. I'll take a seat. I hope you don't mind. I didn't have time to get changed from my study visit, so I've kept my, my walking shoes on. I had a very nice dress planned, but we'll save it for another time. So first then to the panel. So we're lucky today to have representatives of all levels of governance, from local, national, European, and international. With us today. And we're going to take a few moments each to explore the different aspects of the opportunities for urban policy at EU level. As many of you know, the urban dimension of European policy was already reinforced in its current programming period. And we're on the cusp of starting the next programming period, which runs from 2021 to 2027. So already in this current period, 6% of the national ERDF funding was already earmarked for sustainable urban development strategies in each member state. There was an urban development network dedicated to exchanging and improving skills in developing these strategies and supporting managing authorities with that. There was a dedicated program for urban innovative actions. And we also had the signature of the Pact of Amsterdam in 2015, which established the urban agenda for the EU, and which brought cities around the table for the first time in thematic partnerships with national and EU levels. And of course, the dedicated cooperation program to cities exchanging skills and building capacity, the URBACT program, has been accompanying that along the way too. So we'll talk this afternoon how this framework is evolving and what voice cities can have also in influencing the process, and how you understand how this process works for you. So we will be using Slido today again, so I'll encourage you to scrabble for your phones, and we'll show the Slido code on the screen. So you can open Slido as you've been using it from yesterday. Today's code is UCF3. So if you click on UCF3 and the panel discussion, and we can go now for our first poll question once you're all connected. So the first question is to get an idea of you in the room and your understanding of how much you know about the opportunities for cities through cohesion policy in particular. So have you read all the regulations? You're up to speed. You've seen all the documentation. You're pretty clear on what's going on for you. Maybe you've heard some things from colleagues, from your national representatives, from different meetings, and but you're not sure about everything that's possible. Or you have no idea, and that's why you're here, and you're going to hear all about it. So a good 2/3 of the audience, yeah, they've heard some things. They know what's going on in some aspects, but maybe not everything. And still quite a number of you who have read all the regulations. Have you, Thomas, read all the regulations? Great. Okay. So it's clear that there's a relatively good level of knowledge in the room, so we can get stuck into the details. So I'm going to turn first to Thomas. So Thomas de Bethune, you're team leader for urban policy at the European Commission, DG Regional Policy. And so maybe you can tell us a little bit about the work that you do and also what is meant by the urban dimension of cohesion policy. What are your objectives for this period with the Commission?
Okay, thank you, Nuala. Thank you, everyone, for being here this afternoon in this EAT here, following this session, which is with everyone. I'm actually working at the Commission in a unit which is working on urban issues. And so, indeed, the regulation, we read it, we even contributed to write it, to be sure, actually, that cities can be helped, and you can be helped the most with the regulation, with the funding, and with the knowledge. And that's what I will try to shortly explain in a few minutes. As you know, cohesion policy, aiming at reducing disparities between regions and helping cities also to play their role in this objective. And there is also many other major funding that came during and for the period to come. The resilience facility, recovery and resilience facility following the COVID crisis, where there is also some involvement of local authorities. Challenges, you know them better than I do, because you are facing them on a daily basis, so I will not get into all what you need to tackle at local level, but just to tell you that we have reinforced, indeed, the urban dimension of the cohesion policy. First of all, by having a new policy objective. This policy objective, which is called, and I hope you have heard about it, Policy Objective 5, Europe Closer to Citizen. It is actually a policy objective which is not sectoral, but which is territorial. You can develop tailor-made investment strategies and be funded and be the one selecting or co-selecting the investments and the operations. And actually what URBACT is doing by developing with you, by providing you the methodology to develop the strategies at local level, it's for the purpose of financing after that the projects the cohesion policy would be able to fund and to provide support with. And so, what type of projects are identified in the regulation? Demographic change. We have identified a big trend in shrinking or over-concentrating cities in Europe. Deprived neighborhoods, the historical priority of the urban dimension of cohesion policy. But now to come green and blue infrastructures and the Green Deal, which is our common and shared objective of having climate-neutral continent by 2050. And where cities are really on the front line of these objectives. You might have heard about the 100 climate-neutral cities, which is a really important, I would say, initiative, which is beside the cohesion policy, helping cities to develop their plans to reach this objective. That's for the first thing. The second is about the money, because it's good to have a priority identified, but the money is also what you need to deliver on it. And here we have increased, actually, the money which is allocated for cities mandatorily to a concentration of the funds from 5 to 8% of the European Regional Development Fund, which is nearly doubling, and which should be directed in cities for the purpose I just mentioned, selection of projects, and within the different priorities of the cohesion policy, and focusing, as I mentioned, on the Green Deal, but with a method and responsibilities. The method, it's the integrated approach. You all know this. This is the core of the work we are and the discussions we had here, but also with responsibilities to cooperate with municipalities that are surrounding your cities, to create urban-rural linkages, and also to work with other level of governance. Regional, obviously, these are the ones that are managing the funds, so you need to discuss with them, but it's also to build solutions together, because actually often the territories of the problems are not the territories of the administrations. And third, we also want to accompany cities to deliver on their challenge. And so that's why we continue with URBACT, the URBACT 4 program for supporting the exchange of practice and networks in the future, and that we have also created an instrument which is called European Urban Initiative, which aims at offering a more coherent support also for cities in the context of the cohesion policy, but also for innovation.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know, Thomas, that 67, I think, of the 100 climate neutral cities missions are URBACT cities. So we're really...
Congratulations.
We've heard... yes, it really is, I think, a good sign to make these links also between the different funding opportunities. And we've heard from some of the cities already in this festival. So I think you should tell us more about the European Urban Initiative, because this is something that is, I think it's very new, first of all, and also very closely linked to URBACT's activities.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not a hazard, actually, that all the... it's not by chance that cities are the same, because when you are active in one, you are active in two, and then you create more solutions and connections, and that's what we want to push for, that cities can get, depending on what they have defined as their own needs and paths for solutions at the EU level and within the program. And so the Urban Initiative, the European Urban Initiative, it's exactly contributing to this. It's to strengthen the integrated and participatory approach to sustainable urban development and to provide also this stronger link with the EU policies. We know there is huge challenges there. We have also demonstrated that for the last years how agile, we could have heard that in one of the sessions yesterday, the institutions that have always been or often seen as slow or complex could have been. If you could see the reaction towards the COVID crisis, towards the refugee crisis, there is really big change in the way we are working. This EUI, it's part of this process. There is two big strands. One is on innovative action. I hope most of you know about it. And the other one is on support capacity and knowledge building, policy development and communication. And let me get a bit more details on both of the strands. The first one, innovative action. We will continue with the successful urban innovative actions. In the current period, the program has provided support to testing and prototyping innovation in cities with 86 experimental urban innovative actions. It will evolve. We have also learned from this first period, but we will continue. And it will evolve based on assessment we made and how it has performed. The second strand is about capacity building and knowledge, and I would say there is a lot to bridge here with the URBACT program. I'm sure Sabrina will also mention this. It's really to support the cities with the help on how to develop solutions and methods to implement the cohesion policy and to implement their local strategies. And so the main aim, as I mentioned, is to support this approach, and by financing peer learnings, urban development network activities within member states, we will also develop jointly with URBACT national or urban contact points that will serve as a nexus between national, regional, local levels and the European Urban Initiative. It will feed, on the one hand, the EUI national, regional, local context, and on the other hand, it will inform, match the needs and disseminate the EUI activities and outputs. The European Urban Initiative will support cities in a number of complementary ways with URBACT, and both programs will work hand in hand to support cities in developing their innovative solution and also sustain the green and digital transition, which is an horizontal priority of the new URBACT program. You will for sure hear about that in the next minutes. We are now working actually on setting up this initiative. We hope to sign really soon the contract, which will allow to have by autumn the initiative starting. We are working for that with the Région Hauts-de-France, which is already the entrusted entity, so the equivalent of the managing authority for the urban innovative actions. And you will hear about it because we intend to launch a call, the first call for the innovative actions, this autumn. So you might and get prepared for this on the concept of the new European Bauhaus. I will not get much into the detail of it because there will be a scoping document accompanying this call explaining what we intend and what we expect. But you can already get prepared, and there will be information on the DG Regio website if you want to be informed. And finally, I just want to mention another important feature of this initiative, which is the dialogue we want to have with member states, city organizations, and other European Union institutions, and programs like URBACT. A steering group will be put in place as part of the EUI, the European Urban Initiative, in order to have this dialogue and to identify where we can create most of the synergies and build on the national policies, the regional policies, and the city needs, which is one of the main, I would say, tagline of the URBACT program.
Thank you, Thomas. So that's, yeah, a lot of information for you to take in. I should say you can use Slido to ask your questions. So if you have any questions on what Thomas or the other panelists are talking about, then feel free and we'll take some at the end. I should also say that, Thomas, you'll be staying around also after the panel, so you can also have a chat with him at the Urban Innovative Action stand. And yeah, so I think there's a lot of information that was given there. So, but yeah, hopefully that gives you an idea of the European Urban Initiative and how that links in with your priorities. I'll come now to Sabrina ABDI. So you're managing the program Livability, Housing, Mobility and Security at the National Agency for Territorial Cohesion here in France. And so Sabrina is representing the managing authority of URBACT today. And yeah, I wanted to ask you, Sabrina, just to follow on from Thomas, if you could tell us in a little bit more detail just this aspect about the links between URBACT and the EUI, the European Urban Initiative. We'll have a detailed presentation of the URBACT 4 program just after, but I think it would be interesting to hear how URBACT fits in this framework.
Okay, hi everyone. URBACT is, as you know, a strand of the Cohesion Policy that has as objective to reinforce effectiveness of cohesion policy through exchanges, capacity building, and to transfer and also capitalize on good practice in sustainable urban development. And as Thomas has also presented, one of the objective of URBACT 4 will be to encourage cities that are already receiving SUD funds, so ERDF program funds, to support, being supported by URBACT activities and some actions. So that's one of the three main points, because there is also, as Thomas also said, there is the Urban Innovative Action. So in this period, the Secretariat has worked closely with the EUI to work on the methodology, on use and readapt transfer mechanism for European Innovative Action project. So that will be used also for next programming period within the European Urban Initiative. Also, as also it has been said, but the capacity building will be also an important point of URBACT 4, because we will have to make this link with the EUI and how can all the knowledge and the experience, what has been done by URBACT within 20 years now, will help other cities to strengthen their capacities and build on this, especially for managing and implementing urban strategies. So beyond the European initiative, and URBACT is already working with other interregional programs. So they work with ESPON on interregional program on policy evidence, and also on exchange on good practices with Interreg Europe. So as you can see, URBACT is really an essential piece within this landscape of urban development. And they are going to strengthen their linkages and the bridge with the other programs and other initiatives and action within the European dimension.
Thanks, Sabrina. Yeah, I think it's important to try and underline the way that we're working hand in hand, as Thomas said. So, I mean, URBACT is your program for tackling local challenges through European exchange and learning. But we're trying to strengthen this dimension of helping the financing and the implementation of the actions that you're working on through the funds that are dedicated for this at national and regional level. So that's really one of the aspects that we're trying to strengthen with this initiative. France currently holds the presidency of the European Union. It's coming to an end shortly, Sabrina. I'm sure you'll be sad to see it end, but maybe looking forward to some holidays. So you've been particularly involved also in developing the implementation of the urban agenda for the EU, which I mentioned, which brings together national and European organizations along with cities. Can you tell us a bit about the urban agenda going forward and what the opportunities are there?
Yes. So you mentioned the Pact of Amsterdam, which was signed in 2016 under the Dutch, I had only the name in French in my mind. So under the Dutch presidency, so that was an experimental way to bring together the national, the regional, and also the local authorities working together with NGOs and on specific topics. So the Pact of Amsterdam has launched 12 partnerships and then added 2 more, which are cultural heritage and security. And so this has been a part of what is going to feed also the French presidency, but what has been done also by the German already, and also the Slovenian presidency. So URBACT, since the beginning of the urban agenda, is really a part and a key partner of the partnership, by delivering expertise, but also by mobilizing some cities that are already involved on those thematics. So since the beginning, URBACT is really a part of it. They are part also of the intergovernmental discussion and forum. And so the next step, so building on what has been done by Germany with the new Leipzig Charter, and also the Ljubljana Agreement, we are working on our French presidency on the just dimension, which is one of the 3 pillars, with also the green and the digital dimension. So we are working on just dimension to deliver some recommendation from Policy Lab to feed recommendations. So I heard, I think it was on the first day, one of the challenge for green cities is how to have no one left behind with deprived neighborhood, for example. So we are starting this work on how to better and practically implement the new Leipzig Charter. So, and with the Commission has also launched ex-ante assessment during our French presidency, because on the Ljubljana Agreement, 2 new partnership has been dedicated, one to green cities and one to sustainable cities. And 2 other one will be also explored next year, which are the food and also the gender, so, and equal cities. So it's really the core of the thematic that has been explored by a lot of networks. So that is concretely a possibility for cities from URBACT, because there will be a launch of a call this summer under Czech presidency to gather a partnership around the 2 first, so the green and the sustainable. So concretely, I think that we are waiting for cities that are already involved in URBACT and that can also feed with all that has been done within URBACT. And also one of the point of the new Leipzig Charter, and I think every country is challenging, is how to better integrate small and medium-sized cities within the European network. So there will be also, this point will be underlined also in underlined in the French presidency, but also in the trio that is following.
Okay, so there's still plenty of opportunities coming up. So Thomas mentioned the call for innovative actions, and Sabrina, the call for these new urban agenda partnerships. And it's true, the two topics are really present already in URBACT networks. And URBACT has, as you said, Sabrina, had this role within the Pact of Amsterdam of proposing cities for the different partnerships. I understand this application process is evolving, but we're also here to support you and make these links between all of the work that you're doing here and make sure that that feeds in all to the partnerships. Thanks, Sabrina. I'll come to Kieran now because you also have two hats on today, which is good for the sun.
That is actually.
So you're an elected councillor for the City of Cork in Ireland, and you're also a member of the Committee of the Regions, so at EU level. So let's put your Cork hat on first. And did you bring a branded Cork hat?
No.
So your City of Cork, you've been involved in a few URBACT networks recently. So what has that brought to cities like yours? And how does your city make the most of not only URBACT funding, but these other cohesion funding opportunities that we've been talking about?
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation here this afternoon. I'm another Irish person on the top table. I'm from the southern shores of Ireland, from the city of Cork, which is a second city. It's also highly ambitious. It's got second city syndrome. I think every second city has this syndrome. But URBACT has been really, really important to the city of Cork. I think the perspective of my city, and one could actually argue every city right across the European Union, is that the narrative is changing, whether we like the narrative to change or not. So, for example, we have to react to the Sustainable Development Goals. We have to react to climate action. We have to localise the SDGs. Citizens' expectations have gone through the roof in the last 10 years. And I think the one thing that URBACT has brought is a new set of lenses for my city to put on, or a new set of glasses to see things differently. We've just finished up one project, and my project leader is in the audience actually here. We did a project called the Playful Paradigm, which is very much for the person on the street for the city of Cork. They saw their streets closed off for cars. But for the people leading the project, they saw the streets opening up for new opportunities. So playful streets. What did it do for my city? Well, it started off as a really small project, one street closed off, one corner of a street. But as COVID hit, we had to close off more of our streets. So very much the playful paradigm was the seed of something larger. So now we've actually closed off 15 streets. We've pedestrianised 15 streets. So make no mistake about it, if you do an URBACT project, the little seed you grow will grow into something quite large and also quite surprising. For me, I have to say URBACT rocks. And I mean, you mentioned my second hat, which is like the European Committee of the Regions, which is a formal institution of the European Union. It's a formal advisory body. We work closely with DG Regio. We've got a very close collaboration and co-creation, I probably one would actually say as well. And we bring a series of opinion papers on how these narratives are changing. But all of our members are also saying not only is the narrative changing, the strategic plans the cities are doing and the regions are doing are also changing, and they're rapidly changing, and we need to respond to that. I've always said that URBACT can help that a lot. I mean, I'm a big believer that URBACT is such a down-to-earth project. It's a stepping stone to do a European project. I know there are people here that this could be your first time engaging with URBACT. I mean, this festival is amazing in terms of its setting and its information that you're actually giving. I'm a really big fan, and I've used your website, for example, urbact.eu. If you do nothing else after this festival but log on to that particular website and see the various information portals that are there. If you never do another project again with URBACT or never come back to a festival, log on to that, log on to interreg.eu, log on to the Horizon 2020 programs. I'm also a really big fan. I think URBACT also makes your city go in a direction that perhaps you should have an EU affairs officer. You actually should have someone in your council that's actually looking out for opportunities. And I think that's really, really important. You've probably heard a lot of speeches over the last 2 days on EU regional policy, and you're trying to get your head around what does that jargon mean and what does that term actually mean. But if you stay with URBACT, they will provide you the lenses to understand some of the jargon. But when you actually get into the jargon, I'm 13 years a city councillor and I'm 8 years on the Committee of the Regions. It took me a while to get around the jargon. Once you get into it, there are loads of opportunities, but you need a specific team within your council or your regional authority to unlock that. And URBACT is also about breaking silos and working together, and I think that was one of the greatest things as well that came to my council through URBACT. It got people across different departments actually talking to each other, and sometimes they would have never talked without URBACT. So that, yeah, those are some of my thoughts.
Thanks, Kieran. Exactly.
I'm a believer in URBACT.
You're doing my job for me. It's great.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm also trying to stand up within the Committee of the Regions and try to say to our members, look, these portals are available. I mean, I'm lucky that I'm an urban policy rapporteur for the Committee of the Regions, and I have members coming to me going, you need to do more, you need to know more, where can we get more information? And it's important that all this information gets out to the general public as well, and people in the local authorities and regions.
Yeah, I think that's one of the many key points that you mentioned, but also making sure that cities know where to find the information, and that the skills and the knowledge that are developed within URBACT and within other programs are shared. And I know that that's a shared objective for all of us here to make sure that we mutualize and capitalize on what is happening. And this is also the objective of the European Urban Initiative, I know. So that's great to hear your enthusiasm still for URBACT, Kieran. But you did mention a few jargon words. We did try and limit the jargon-filled session to this one, so hopefully it's not too difficult for you all. But as you say, you've been at the Committee of the Regions active in following very linked topics to URBACT and the urban agenda for the EU. You're a rapporteur on an opinion on the new European Bauhaus that Thomas mentioned. And you're currently working on a report on small urban areas as key actors to manage the just transition. We've talked a lot about the just transition here as well over the last couple of days. And yeah, from your point of view and what you've seen so far in that report, let's focus maybe just on this aspect of the smaller cities and what particular challenges you've seen there. It was also mentioned by Sabrina that it's key for these EU initiatives to really reach out to the smaller cities that don't necessarily have access to all of the opportunities.
Yeah, and the report I'm doing, when we mention small cities within the Committee of the Regions or small urban areas, we're basing it on an OECD kind of population tangent, but it's between 5,000 and 50,000 in terms of population. I have no doubt there are people here within that kind of bracket of small town, small village, and that you're quasi-urban and quasi-rural, and what is the EU what EU opportunities are available for that. But one thing that had struck me just doing the report is that there are like 43% of the EU population live actually in small urban areas. 43%. It's like there are 14,000 local authorities out of 95,000 that are actually small urban areas. It's actually a significant amount, and it's really, really important we don't leave those areas behind. And that's why I was really impressed the European Commission, DG Regio, did have a report recently, the Cohesion report for this year, had a focus on small cities, which was fantastic, because it does affect a lot of people. But there are challenges around some of these spaces are aging, they've got weak local government, they've got problems with self-sufficiency, there are social inequalities, there's problems with housing, and also the bigger problem of it's called the geography of discontent, where they're disconnected from what's happening nationally or even regionally. So I am presenting, I suppose, what I would like to see in a report in 2 weeks' time to the Committee of the Regions. And I think one of the key points that I'll be making is that there needs to be more one-stop approaches to help the small cities. Sometimes they don't have the administration capacity to chase a project like even URBACT or Interreg, or even to chase something larger, a flagship like Horizon Missions. So I think it's really, really important that the multi-level governance structure works. What does that mean is that the people at national level, national member states, speak to the people on the ground, and that there is collaboration. Also, I think we mentioned, or somebody mentioned already, the words just transition. I mean, we're all looking for change, we're all looking for climate action, but it's important that no one's left behind in that. I think there's a huge job of work around the green, the digital, the housing, using things like the new European Bauhaus to lift all boats and to bring people along. And also I think there's an awful lot to learn between rural, there's a new report I think that was launched yesterday or the day before called the Long-Term Vision for Rural Areas. And I think there's an awful lot that particular report and that line of work in the rural policy can learn from urban policy, and a lot that urban policy can learn from the rural policy. I think sometimes we just siloise them out, that you're in a rural area, so you need to stay rural, and you're urban, you must stay urban. We need to just collaborate a lot more. So there's a lot to learn from each other. I think I've got a copy of my report there. There's like 70 points in it. I won't go through it because it's too warm for everybody. But the people can email me if they want the report. But yes, there's a huge job of work to be done when it comes to small urban areas. And make no mistake about it, URBACT can help with that completely. When I say a one-stop shop, it's URBACT in a sense, but URBACT multiplied. How can we actually build capacity even more? I know I get a lot of questions from people who've done URBACT projects saying, well, where can we get the bigger funding now to roll it out even more? We've done the collaboration, the chatting, the knowledge exchange. Where can we go now with it? And I think that's a job of work for all of us to support URBACT as much as possible, kind of going forward to get that funding in place. I always have in my head as well that these Horizon missions that are being created, the climate neutral cities and the 4 other flagship projects, they're coming out of things like URBACT, Interreg, EU Urban Agenda. If you've never logged on to see, I think EU Urban Agenda has been mentioned a lot. There are 14 partnerships online. If you go into urbanagenda.eu, and there's so many different reports that you can that can help what you're doing, the work you're doing within your city or your town or your rural area. You asked me, Nuala, not to speak quickly because I'm Irish. Unfortunately, I have. But I hope the translators got that. My apologies to the translators. But the Committee of the Regions is really, really excited about what the line of work. I think that's why they sent me here. So thank you very much, Nuala.
Thanks, Kieran. Yeah, it is great to see the enthusiasm. Yeah, I hope you all managed to follow that. We are live streaming, but you can also watch the recording back if you need to catch up. But no, I think the points that you're making in terms of linking up all of these things is really key and crucial here. And it's, as you say, something that we're all trying to do at the different levels. We've done a study of the previous action planning networks and how they get your action plans financed and where that money comes from. And we know that there is a significant proportion that are funded through own local or regional funds, and 37%, I think, Adele, from ERDF and from the regional cohesion policy. So we know that those links are there and they can be made. And we always like to quote one of our beneficiary cities who says, URBACT is the small money that leads to the big money. Quoting Tracy from Barnsley again on that. But it is true, it does make a link to the wider funding, and I think that's the key point that everyone has made, that this coordination between what you're doing at the cities, what the national priorities are, and how that can support the cities, and how at European level through the Committee of the Regions and particularly the European Commission to pull that together and make it available. So, Sanda, I'll come to you now. You are, yes, a little bit outside of this EU cohesion policy jargon, but I'm sure you'll have your own contribution with words from the pre-accession funding. So you are you're here representing the Serbian Ministry of European Integration, so Sanda ŠIMIC. Sorry, I didn't give you your full title. Because Serbia, along with 4 other pre-accession countries, will be, for the first time, eligible to access URBACT funding through this dedicated IPA funds. So what, hopefully you've managed to follow also what has been discussed here. It wasn't too jargon-filled for you either.
No, no.
But so what, for you, are you looking forward to with joining URBACT? And tell us a little bit about what your cities are telling you, their needs, and how you think you can really benefit from this support as well.
Yes, after Kieran, we even wanted more, you know. He's the best spokesperson of URBACT so far. And you were speeding up, you know, when you from the beginning, so you're faster later. First of all, thank you very much for having us. You know, since I'm the only one from Western Balkans, I feel obliged to thank you all on behalf of all of us. We are here, Serbia is here, North Macedonia is here, Montenegro is here, colleagues from Albania are here as well. So thank you very much for having us. Thank you to DigiRegio as well for supporting us. Most of us, or all of us, are coming from ETC world, from Interreg world. We are having Interreg programs starting from 2004, so we are not totally outside of cohesion policy framework, because actually thanks to DigiRegio, thanks to the fact that the programs that we have with member states, Interreg programs that we have with member states, do have totally similar, same systems actually as the programs between, Interreg programs between member states, as URBACT is having as well. So we will easily jump in into this framework, especially because we were practicing cooperation for a long time. Our municipalities in the framework of Interreg program did have a lot of experience in implementing projects jointly with the municipalities in European Union as well, and among Western Balkan countries. But also for example, we have here representatives of Association of Cities from Serbia, also from Montenegro, from North Macedonia. On behalf of Serbia, we have second largest city also, Serbian second largest city of Novi Sad here, who is having very big experience in cooperation. We are having different problems, but I think that we can relate. There are similar, we are trying to find the best ways to resolve this problem in urban settlements, so we can benefit a lot. We benefited from being here and discussing with all of you, and I would like to thank you all for being here for us in these 2 days. We have heard a lot about URBACT and the opportunities. What we have heard is that what URBACT makes, it stays, you know, and it's very important for us, this sustainability, that after the network finished with the project, you know, this result stayed, and the permanent change of mentality is there. We are using only instrument for pre-accession assistance. We are not using cohesion policy. We are using only one financial instrument that is divided into 5 windows, so-called, and one window is territorial cooperation, and URBACT is fitting into this. So this is our first opportunity, but as I said, we are having a network of association of cities on the Western Balkans. It has 14 associations inside. And we are really, I think that we will be worthy partners, you know, within the networks. We are ambitious, planning to organize info days as soon as we come back to Belgrade. We have met several URBACT experts that might help us, you know, because they also know the language, so it will be maybe easier, especially for smaller cities. And we will try to be ready for the, maybe not for the first calls, but because of maybe legal obstacle, you know, in concluding financial agreements and framework agreements, but maybe as partners that are non-financing in the first call, it would be very good.
Thanks, Sanda. Yeah, it's good to hear that it's already this Interreg cooperation is familiar to you and your cities, and it's true maybe we're the slow ones in extending the invitation to URBACT, but we're really happy that you and the other 4 countries are joining us. Like Sanda said, probably not for the first call for action planning networks, which we'll tell you about shortly after, but certainly as soon as the the finances in place for the next call, you'll be out looking for partners.
We hope that even in the first call, our municipalities can join just as non-financing partners, you know, just to be maybe on the meetings, you know, just to see how the networks are being created and what are the topics, and later on to be prepared to be more active in the following calls. Thanks.
As I warned, our time has gone by very quickly, so we've managed to get to the end of at least our panelist contributions. I wanted to just have a quick check to see if there's any questions from the audience coming on Slido. So yeah, we have a couple of questions. One, I think, on which topics will be covered under the new European Bauhaus. Thomas, I think you said it's a bit soon to go into details, but maybe you can tell us when those details will be available.
Yes, yeah, no, I cannot yet. But it will be for the autumn, and we are preparing the details of the call and the content of the topics, so that will be known in due time, but please refer to the InfoRegio website where the information will be released when ready.
And like we said, the colleagues from Innovative Actions are also here, so that you can also get in contact with them and leave your details, and they'll certainly follow up with you, I'm sure. I think we're going to have to wrap it up there because we have just the opportunity to give you a closing statement. But since there's one more question, maybe you could also integrate it into your closing statements. I'm looking at Sabrina and Thomas in particular. The question is, how do you view the URBACT EUI coordination in the context of the urban agenda for the EU? That was a very difficult challenge that I've given you. So feel free to focus on your closing statement and we'll continue the conversation afterwards.
I will discuss it with Fernando directly and leave it to Sabrina. No, as you want. But no, I just wanted to say that I think we should be ready to change the way we are dealing with cities and the way we have some values or some beliefs in our urban practice. The last events showed that there was some, and there is to come, even more change. COVID showed that the cities have completely changed in the way you can live it, you can practice it, and the mayors have changed and took this opportunity to completely, in many cities in Europe, change the mobility, for example. The war in Ukraine shows that actually population is more than before ready to welcome refugees, and migration issue is now really high on every agenda. It's an opportunity. The gender issue, it was discussed yesterday, becomes more prominent and clearly one of the issues where there is a lot and still a lot to do. And climate change. Today, it might not be just by chance that we have such a high temperature. I would say the clock is ticking, not just only on the screen here, and we have a responsibility to act. So there is opportunities, there is some challenges. It's time to break some of our beliefs, to dare, at local level, big changes. Soon, thermic cars would be banned. How will we deal with this? It sounds new, or it sounds already old. 5 years ago, it was just a fiction. And such kind of change will come. And when we have to project into the funding, this is exactly what we need to look at, where to invest for the future. And there is opportunities. There is more funds than ever with the Recovery and Resilience Facility, with the Cohesion Policy, which are on the table. Please sit with your managing authorities, your region, national state, to discuss. You've got a right to ask for a share of this money to implement your strategies. I mentioned it, the 8%, but it might be more. It's just a minimum. And you've got also a compass for that, the new Leipzig Charter, which is referring to a certain number of priorities and elements to whom the member states committed to implement it. So if they disagree with some of your priorities, you can always look in this charter that they agreed to follow these priorities.
Thank you, Thomas. Sabrina?
So I don't know if I will, but I will try to answer to the question and also wrap up, because I think that one of the key success that will be one of the challenge of URBACT 4 will be the national contact point, because there will be the European Urban Initiative contact point and also URBACT. And regarding also the use of structural funds and how to better articulate and coordinate and be one of the person at the national level that will deliver information, opportunities, etc. So I think that it would be really important to work on how to better coordinate those two national contact points within the same administration if possible, and that will be a challenge, I think.
Thanks, Sabrina. Kieran, dare I ask you to...
Very briefly.
Very briefly.
Yeah, can I say all of the challenges that you have in your towns, your regions, your cities, your neighbourhoods, your locales, you're not alone with those challenges. Like, URBACT is your tribe. It's like a family. And I'm going to say it again, log on to urbact.eu, because I have actually used it to solve road issues in my area, or kind of trying to create pedestrianised areas and approaches to other aspects as well. It's really, really useful. So that's that.
Thanks, Kieran. And Sanda?
Thank you. Timing is good. Why? Because we have just finished work on the Sustainable and Integrative Urban Development Strategy. Our cities, I like the word geography of discontent, you know, because we have one big city and a lot of small cities. People are frustrated, and they were looking forward to bring life back to the smaller cities. And this is a good opportunity to do that. So new instruments in the new financial perspective, like ITI, CLLD, PO5, we will implement for the first time in the program Serbia-Bulgaria. It will be really challenging because we don't know how to do it right now, but we will do our best. So a lot of issues that maybe Central European cities or member state cities do not face, and they can help us face those issues, and we're really looking forward to try to exchange solutions for the resolution of these problems.
Thank you, Sanda. Thank you to all our panelists for being hopefully clear for you. Thank you all for your participation and your patience while we quickly wrap up this panel. I would like to just invite our panelists to leave the stage now, and we will be continuing our session